Hey, my name is Attorney Walter Nunn. I wanted to explain, I've seen some angry comments specifically about how the Democrats are basically, pushing through all these massive amounts of law. And the reality is, and I just wanted to explain this a little bit for most people that don't understand, when it comes to law, the legislature will usually pass through around 400 to 500 bills in a year, which is not a lot, right? You think all of those people for that many bills into law, what the heck, right? But you've got to understand something. Way back in the day, those bills were just like, small little, this is what we're changing the law to, here's the paragraph. And then those bills turned into basically 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 page, massive, having nothing to do with the title of the act bills. And so when people are like, well, they don't, they don't really pass that many bills into law, the truth is that they are. They are basically passing hundreds upon thousands of unique little items into law, and these acts, you could take like the past spending, but I mean, you could split them up into acts. This is this act, and 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 then inside each one of those is 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 changes that they want to do. So the reality is that traditionally people should not be worried about massive law changing. But with the modern system that we have now, and it's Republicans and Democrats both do this, they shove as much stuff into something that they think people are going to like, and then basically they advertise only the things they're going to like. And then like you'll see a commercial and they'll be like, the county fire people only want this option, so make sure you strike yes on blah 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 so the match can ignite, whatever, some cutesy little whatever. But the point, all right, let me put it in simpler terms. The point is, if you're buying a burger, you're buying the meat and the patty, and you're like, yes, I want a burger. But with that purchase, they're throwing in some bacon, some ketchup, a little mustard, maybe some pickles. Hey, I'm not doing so okay. Tomato, a little bit of lettuce. Hey, okay, no onions. Unless they're little tiny little chopped up ones, then they're okay. So they're, but then they're also putting in there some astronaut food. They're also putting in there some rotten mayonnaise. They're also putting in there some oil. They're also putting in there some starter fluid. They're also putting in there some, marine grade, hull cleaner, to clean the inside of the hull of all the dirt after 20 years of a boat schlepping around the ocean. So they're putting all of that into basically this act that you know nothing about, that most of the senators have not completely read themselves. And the House of Reps basically get a fact sheet from their lead House of Rep person who's trying to shove that bill through. So that's why they're so angry. Now, with that said, and I want to make this very, very clear, there is no way that any of you guys will be able to figure out what all these different bills have in them. You won't. There's just too much, and the problem with a lot of it is that when you go to read it, it takes time. You have to, we want to change this line from this document, from that to this. And you have to go look at, got it. So I just wanted to explain how that process works. We no longer live in a country that is telling us the truth about what types of bills are trying to put and make into a law. It's mostly a bunch of shenanigans of trying to shove a bunch of things that nobody's even read through a group of people whose only job is to approve or disapprove those particular laws. And then they'll usually go ahead and hold the thing and change the thing and then submit the thing with people to have 24 hours to basically decide on the fate of the country. I know a lot of you guys saw the spending bill. I know more money than it should have went overseas, went to all these places that had no business receiving all this money. The American people should have easily received $10,000 apiece checks. Frankly, they could have received $20,000 checks. And I just want to outline something for you real quick. I don't really, on this channel, advocate for the Trump team or the Biden team. I advocate specifically for the SSA beneficiaries, and more so even the disabled. If you gave a $20,000 check to a disabled person, they could have a reliable car to get the medical treatment. They could buy a little piece of land as a down payment to basically put some sort of little house on it to utilize as their own land, as their own pride of having something. Nobody can tell them to get out, even though they're in a motel room, or they're on some apartment, or the HOA doesn't like how the noises they make when they're waking up, whatever. I would rather see the money in your hands than other countries. And I would rather see the money in your hands than a lot of the groups that they tried to pay with those funds. Taxes are important. We got to pay our taxes, because the bottom line is that the taxes equate to things that help to pay for the whole infrastructure, including the military, etc. And the big part of that is basically paying into this system that would allow people going forward to exist in a peaceful manner as they become disabled or reach a certain age, etc. I don't know how to fix this abuse of the law. We see it mostly from, and I don't want to go into parties, but we're seeing a lot of it right now because of these massive spending bills. And the sad part is that nobody really even got to or even talked about, beyond the spending, what's in it. How many senators have you heard talking about details related to infrastructure of how the House will proceed going forward with things? How many of you have heard about a lot of things, just things relevant to how they're changing certain age groups for things, how they're modifying definitions of things? There's no way for me to read them and then tell them to you. There's just no way. There's no way, because I don't have enough time. I got to do the law firm thing, and then these videos are kind of me helping you guys as I can. So I would ask you to continue to vote for those individuals who can actually deliver on their promises of getting more money in the hands of the retired, disabled, widow's benefits, spousal benefits, child benefits, disabled adult child, all those things, aux benefits. I ask you to vote for those people. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're Democrats. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're Republicans. I think one of the most severe things that I've seen is that there's an expectation that Democrats will de facto always help out the disability system. I was one of those people who really strongly believe that. And on April 2nd, Biden, through Commissioner Saul, came out with this new sweeping regulation for, it wasn't really sweeping, they've been working on it for 2 years, but I didn't think they were going to come out with it when Biden got in. That's changing how they adjudicate musculoskeletal claims under the 1.0 listings, which makes it way, way, way harder to be found disabled based upon an ambulation provision in it. So in my opinion, you think one person's going to do one thing, and then they're doing the opposite of that, and you start to sit back and you're like, what happened here? There was a foundation to a lot of this stuff, and everybody kind of knew what the rules were, and now the rules are changing all the time. They're changing all the time. And I have not actually seen, I have not seen in a while, not Obama wasn't helpful with it, not Trump was not helpful with it, and now unfortunately Biden has not been helpful with disability benefits. They're not making it easier. They're not. And I hate to say it to you guys, but in the future, over the next couple of years, I hope to God Biden will deliver. I hope to God he will deliver on making this disability system easier for people to get onto. But I'm going to tell you some things that you're going to hate right now. Number one, being found disabled is going to take an extremely long time, over the next 6 months to basically 3 years. That's kind of the 6 months to 3 years period is when it's going to really, really slow down. They just changed the 1.0s in a huge, huge way. I mean, there's just none of the original stuff is really there in the same way that it was. It's just like, what is the same? That you had to look at it as like, what was it, and why is this so different? And so the bottom line is that when I originally did the video about President Biden's website, of what he expected and wanted to do, getting rid of the 24-month Medicare rule, getting rid of the marriage penalty, getting rid of the 5-month waiting rule, none of that stuff has happened. We're already into April at this point, and I keep telling myself it's going to happen, and I think it is going to happen. I keep telling myself that he's going to do this stuff, but then when he came out with all these big changes for the 1.0 based listings for musculoskeletal, and I knew that they were planning on doing that, but I didn't think he was going to allow it. I didn't think Commissioner Saul was going to push for it because of Biden being in there. But remember, too, if you're already found disabled, when they do a CDR, they're going to be looking at that standard now. That's the standard that they're going to be judging as severe. So you got to meet, equal, or exceed those listings. So, guys, let's hope for the best. All right, Attorney Walter Knott, if you want the most up-to-date information, I'll catch up with you a little bit later. Also, remember, if you want to catch up with me, I go live from 8 to 10 p.m. every Thursday on YouTube, and basically you call the main phone number that's on the thing on the bottom of the screen, and then basically I help you out and we work through things. All right, I will catch you a little bit later. Have an absolutely wonderful day, and thank you so much. Bye-bye.